The construction of the pant sloper is very similar to the construction of the skirt sloper, so this won't be that difficult. Maybe a little bit of finagling to get the pant shape correct, but it's very straightforward procedure. Again, you've noticed that I've prepared my fabric, and in this case, because we're going to have to work underneath in between the doll's legs, I've given myself a little bit more of a margin from the center front. I once again align this vertical line with the center of that doll. And the horizontal, of course, is going along the the hip line of the doll. Again, I taped it so that I can control this, and I will wrap this around the hips of the doll, trying to keep as straight as possible along that hip line. Once again, I want to pinch the excess. Okay, I'll tape that so I keep that underneath. I keep that in control. And I want to pinch the excess fabric that's falling away from the waist to the hip. With that done, I'm going to clip just above the waistline to release again the tension. And that will smooth at the waist. It'll smooth along the waistline. Okay, so I'm going to re-tape that in place. I turn the dowel over, and now I'm going to repeat the procedure at the back. I'm going to untape this here, and I'm going to join the two at the doll's side, keeping the vertical line, which is running down her center back, straight, and matching up the two front and back where the horizontal line joins at the side. And then pin. And now, again, on that back quarter line, I'm going to pinch the excess to create that dart that will run along that quarter line, going from the waist to the hip. Once again, I'm going to clip anything that seems to be a little bit taut above the waist to release the tension. And now I will begin to pin down the side. I turn the doll backwards and forwards just to get a sense of what's happening. And I should point out one thing as well. While you are doing this, make sure that the doll's legs are closed as opposed to spreading her legs. The line that you will be drawing with your pins will be maybe not quite straight on, but it will have a just very slight diagonal movement as you are following the line of the legs underneath. But from front to back, that should be pretty straight to the eye. If I've made a mistake, I can always come back and correct it. Now, I'm going to cut a curve from the top of the fabric to the waist, not the waist, the hip line, I'm sorry. Okay, like that. It's coming down here, and that'll allow me to work a little bit more easily. I'm going to turn the dowel around, and of course I have untaped this first, and I'm going to repeat at the back. Next, untape the side. I've taped this at the waist, the front and the back, so that it doesn't move. And I'm going to untape the sides now, and keeping the on your left doll's right leg in place, I'm going to spread the other leg out a little bit. Okay, but what you want to do is to keep this line, this vertical line, as straight as possible as you're working. And now I'm going to try to find the center, and I'm going to pin the inseam together, the front and the back. And again, you'll have to turn the dowel backwards and forwards to play with that a bit. And again, you want to keep the hip line straight, and you want to keep the straight grain as straight as possible. Okay, as you're working, again, you want to make sure that these stay straight. You noted that when I prepared the fabric, I added a second line, vertical line, and that was so that I have some kind of visual reference in terms of where the straight grain is going. As you're working, make sure that the doll's leg is as far as it's going to go in terms of the center. Be indicated. You'll see, have some kind of an idea if it's pushed all the way. You'll need to, of course, spread the other leg to get inside, but from time to time, make sure that the other leg is pushed all the way in so that when you flatten your pattern, it will have the right movement. And again, I check from front to back. Okay, so far everything looks pretty good. Okay, now I need to clip some more of this away so that I can join the two in the middle a little bit better. Okay, same thing in the back. And now I can pin in between the legs a little bit better. Take your time to adjust, moving again from front to back. And once you're pretty happy with the way things look, and you're happy especially with the fit of the trousers, you know, again, we're just building a straight pant sloper. You can adjust the silhouette after when you create the pattern. But for the moment, I'm pretty happy with that. Then, of course, you know that it's time to mark. So I'm going to mark everything as you know well how to do. But you'll also need to mark, be sure that you mark well where this is falling underneath. So it's coming from the center and it's going to that point. And so ditto in the back. That's why these need to be straight. I'll make sure that my lines are moving pretty straight here. And so again, I'm going to make sure that that meets at that pinpoint, and then of course on both sides down the side and the inseam on both sides. Be sure to mark your waist darts and your waistline. And you know what's next. We remove it from the doll, we flatten it out, and then we are going to clean our lines up. I've also, so that I don't forget what's what, you've noticed that I've marked it front and back so I know what piece goes where. And same thing for the back. Before I pin this and put it back on the doll, I want you to notice something, and that is the shape of the pant leg. And you note that in the front how this line is going somewhat vertical, and that's perfectly normal. Later, when you make a pant variation, you can flare this out to make palazzos, or you can flare it out from the knees to make bell bottoms, or you can bring it in to make stovepipe, or what they call cigarette pants, for the narrowness of the pant. When you are finished, the pant should look just about like that. Note that this is again straight. These are fairly straight, going along that those lines that correspond to the lines in the doll. Note how on my side it's running a nice straight line from that side seam, and in the back as well. What will help is to clip these curves as they're going around her back side and a little bit into the front, and that will release and make that line fall straighter. Once transferred to paper, this is what it should look like. Up next, the one-piece foundation. For ideas as to what to do with these slopers, come visit us at fashiondollstylist.blogspot.com.